In a moment so harrowing it cuts deeper than any storyline ever written, the WWE universe has been rocked to its core by a tragedy no one saw coming and no one can ever forget. Rue, the 4-year-old daughter of Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins, has passed away following a relentless, private battle with pediatric cancer. And in this single, soul-shattering moment, everything changed. For years, fans have known Becky Lynch as the man, the powerhouse who defied expectations, headlined WrestleMania, and stood toe-to-toe with the best in the business, fearless and proud. But now, in a reality far crueler than anything WWE has ever scripted, Becky isn't a champion, a warrior, or a persona. She's a mother who just lost the one thing she fought hardest to protect. This isn't part of a program or an angle. There's no dramatic return or heel turn to redeem it. This is grief, unfiltered, irreversible, and as real as it gets. For months, there had been subtle signs: Becky's quiet withdrawals from shows, her toned-down interviews, the slight hesitation in her ring presence. Fans assumed it was injury rehab, mental burnout, or strategic pacing for WrestleMania season. But the truth, as we now know, was far more devastating. While the cameras rolled and pyro blasted, Becky Lynch was fighting a battle backstage that few knew existed. Her daughter Rue, the center of her world, was quietly dying. Diagnosed with cancer, Rue's fight began in silence, with only her parents, close family, and a tight circle of WWE insiders aware of the gravity of her condition. Becky didn't go public. She didn't post hospital selfies or cryptic Instagram captions. She didn't turn her grief into content. Instead, she did something even more unimaginable: she kept showing up. She stepped into the ring, smiled through interviews, stared down opponents with fire in her eyes, and gave fans everything she had, while her world was quietly falling apart. And now, the worst has happened. WWE confirmed the tragic news in a short but gut-wrenching press release, stating that Rue passed away surrounded by love, cradled in the arms of her parents after a brave battle that no child should ever have to endure. There were no dramatic entrances. No spotlights. No theme music. Just silence. Deafening, inescapable silence. A silence that has since consumed the locker room, the fans, and the hearts of everyone who ever cheered for Becky Lynch. Seth Rollins, normally the eloquent architect of emotion and intensity, has vanished from public view. No tweets. No statements. No appearances. And how could there be? What words are left for a father who just held his child for the last time? What sound could ever emerge from the throat of a man crushed by the weight of such unimaginable loss? Inside the WWE community, the outpouring of grief is palpable. Bayley shared a tender backstage photo of her holding baby Rue with a caption that simply read, "The strongest little girl I've ever met. Rest easy, Angel." Charlotte Flair was seen leaving the Performance Center in visible tears, her face streaked with pain, her usual poise shattered by the rawness of what had occurred. Legends, rookies, rivals, none of them were immune. Everyone, from backstage crew to industry veterans, has been left gutted by the magnitude of the loss. The rivalry and spectacle that defined WWE faded away in an instant, replaced by a shared mourning that no script could ever manufacture. But now, as the shock begins to settle, another layer of heartbreak rises, one that's left many fans questioning how this tragedy was hidden in plain sight. Why didn't anyone know? Why wasn't more support offered publicly? WWE insiders claim Becky requested full privacy, that she didn't want her daughter's battle turned into a media circus. She wasn't protecting an image, she was protecting her time. Every moment mattered. Every storybook before bedtime, every smile after chemo, every whispered, "I love you," before another round of treatment was sacred. And Becky clung to those moments with the ferocity of a lioness, not because she feared pity, but because she feared time would run out. And now it has. Some fans feel betrayed by the silence, but many more understand that Becky's pain wasn't for sale. It wasn't content. It was real, private, and crushing. And while she didn't ask for help, maybe we should have offered it anyway. Maybe we should have looked closer, listened harder, realized that the strongest warriors often suffer the most in silence. Becky Lynch didn't need applause these past few months. She needed the kind of love that stretches beyond the ring. And while we can't go back, we can honor her now, not as the man, but as the mother who held her daughter's hand through the worst days of her life and still somehow found the strength to show up for ours. Rue was never a WWE superstar. She never cut a promo, never wore sparkly gear or ran down a ramp. But her light was felt by everyone who loved Becky, because she was the reason behind the fire. Becky once said in an interview, "Everything I do for her." When I win, I imagine her clapping in the front row. When I lose, I imagine her telling me I'm still her champion. That same champion is now left with ashes. And what comes next for Becky Lynch is a question that feels impossible to answer. How do you return to the ring after burying your child? How do you lace up your boots when the echo of your daughter's laughter has gone quiet? This isn't a storyline you recover from. It's a heartbreak that alters your very soul. And for Seth Rollins, a man known for charisma, confidence, and control, the silence has been most telling. This is the man who once called himself the visionary. The man who burned down the Shield, led factions, and commanded the attention of millions. Today, he is simply a father grieving in silence, lost in a sea of toys that will never be touched again, staring at an empty crib that once held the world. We talk often in WWE about pain, resilience, fighting through adversity. But this is something else entirely. This is loss on a level no wrestler prepares for. There's no training camp for this kind of heartbreak. In the midst of this unspeakable tragedy, the WWE Universe finds itself not as spectators but as mourners. No chant, no sign, no promo could ever encapsulate the depth of this loss. And yet, we remember. We remember the joy when Becky and Seth first announced they were expecting. The way fans celebrated not just a wrestling couple, but the birth of something real, something beautiful. Baby fan art flooded social media. Seth joked about their daughter being tough enough to curb stomp the world. And when Rue was born, it felt like something pure had entered the chaos. Becky's brief departure from the ring wasn't a retirement, it was a reinvention. She wasn't just a champion in the ring. She was now a mother. She returned to WWE after childbirth stronger, more focused, grounded by a love that made everything else pale in comparison. And that love, that bond, is what makes this moment so unbearably painful. Because now that bond has been broken. That light has gone out. And Becky, the warrior who dared the world to believe in her, now faces a new challenge, learning how to live again without the very reason she fought in the first place. This isn't just a moment for sympathy. It's a call to see the humanity behind the personas we idolize. Becky Lynch is not a storyline. She is a mother who has endured the unthinkable. Seth Rollins is not a character. He is a father clinging to memories that should have lasted a lifetime. And Rue was more than a child. She was a spark of hope in a world built on conflict and illusion. She reminded us that beyond the violence and spectacle, there is still heart, still family, still life. And tragically, now, death. To every parent who has walked this same brutal road, your grief is honored. Your loss is shared, and your child, like Rue, is remembered. And to Rue, though you never held a championship belt, you held something greater, our hearts. You didn't walk down a ramp or deliver a catchphrase, but your light was felt by millions. You were the reason for your mother's fire, the center of your father's smile, the soul of a universe that now mourns you deeply. There is no ending to this story. No closing credits. Just a grieving family, a heartbroken fandom, and a world slightly dimmer without you in it. Rest in peace, Rue. You were the bravest warrior of them all.